Well, hello and welcome to the IAEOZ Ideas, Innovation, and Impact podcast series. I'm your host, Timothy Maurice, your behavioral psychology author, and we are delighted to bring you a very special episode with an extraordinary woman. But before we do that, I want to thank you for your participation in these thought leadership series, for sharing this content all over the world. And I also want to thank you for registering for our upcoming summit. You can go to IAEOZsummit.com for more details. Today, I get a chance to have a riveting conversation with Jacqueline A. Davis-Slay. She's a senior advisor of the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization for USDA. How are you, Jackie? Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm really thrilled to have you on for so many different reasons, but I want to just start with a little bit of your background. Share a little bit about, how you got to USDA. And I know you've had an extraordinary journey, but just give us a bit of a snapshot into your background.
Well, thank you for that. Again, like Maurice said, I am Jacqueline Davis-Slay, and I come to you on behalf of the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization here at USDA. A little bit about myself. I am a native of Mississippi.
Lovely.
Yes, I grew up in a small town. I am one of 6 siblings. My father and mother, my father was an avid grower of food. We had a small garden. He didn't allow us to touch it, but he was, providing us fresh fruits and vegetables. I grew up on that type of product. And so I'm actually following in the footsteps of my brother. How I ended up in Washington, D.C., I was literally following my brother. I attended a small university. I attended a historically Black college and university at the guidance of my brothers again. And it has been an extraordinary journey. I am one of 4 USDA employees that come from my family. I have served. Yes, I have served in, and my father actually worked for the Farmers Co-op in our community, and he retired from that with close to 50 years of service. And so, again, I ended up in Washington, D.C., literally following my brother, who was an agricultural scientist, and I majored in agriculture economics. I have a BS, Bachelor of Science, and a Master of Science in agricultural economics. And I have worked in numerous capacities across USDA. I can pretty much say for sure that I am the one and only USDA employee that has worked in 13 of their 29 agencies and offices.
My goodness. Wow.
Yes. And I do love to brag about USDA. I think it's the best federal department on this planet. I will say that with all honesty. We provide resources that can assist in growing businesses, growing communities. We provide many resources to our farmers and ranchers, with that being our primary customer. But we have mission areas that can literally change a community from under the ground up. And it has been such a joy. And I've had an extraordinary career. I am on the downside of my career now. I have about 5 to 7 years left, but I am here to serve. And that's what my parents taught me, to serve. So I am a proud server of the U.S. public.
Wow. Jacqueline, 5 to 7 years and we're going to lose you. What are you going to do in your retirement?
I don't know. I don't think I will stop working. I look at my family. One of my brothers is deceased, the one that I actually trailed to Washington, D.C. But I have a brother who's current. He's a pastor. He's a retired extension agent, and he still works. And so working is just a part of my fabric. My father retired from the Farmers Co-op, but he continued to work even after he retired. He still went there every day. So it's just a part of our nature. We believe in hard work, we believe in discipline, and we believe in, looking forward to the future.
Wow. If you look at let's look at the first half of your career, have you got to where you are? Have you seen a fundamental difference in, Black and brown farmers' participation, support from USDA to Black and brown farmers and agriculture? Share a couple of insights of what you see that has changed from the time you started to now.
I started as a statistician, agriculture statistician with the National Ag Statistics Service. And I have seen, USDA has really worked to improve its relationships with our farmers of color. I can say, when I started with the National Ag Statistics Service, I was in Arkansas then, but I traveled back to DC. I started as a program analyst with the Natural Resources Conservation Service in Washington, DC. And a part of its fabric has been outreach. I think it's incorporated, and with NRCS, I think it's incorporated in everything it does, really looking to serve others and to provide access to those resources for farmers and ranchers to thrive. So we have made it very intentional with this administration. More funding has been provided to serve and to provide outreach in all aspects. One of the things with our minority producers, and a part of what I do right now, is to help them act and function as a agriculture enterprise. And so we've been partnering with the Small Business Administration and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation to provide a host of economic development events across the country, really focused on building businesses. One thing that's unique about USDA is that it can build businesses, but it can also grow businesses. And when I say that from the context of USDA has programs available that can literally build a business. It provides grants, it provides loans, it provides combinations of grants and loan through programmatic opportunities to build business. And in
you
this
share
area,
one of those, Jackie, sorry, could you share one of those programs that inspires and even moves you? We're going to have farmers and those in the industry listening. I want them to hear what you're saying at a deeper level, because what you're sharing is really, really powerful. Is there any program that comes to the top of mind?
So I can't say, well, I would say a program that popped in my mind was Environment Quality Incentives Program. Okay. But what I like to talk about when I'm talking about building businesses, what I like to share with businesses is to look at USDA from a holistic position. So sometimes we're comfortable with one particular agency, one particular program. And I have stressed this for years now, that as a business, you need to look at the whole fabric of a department, of an agency, and of program that's available to help you grow businesses. And so for farmers and ranchers, the first point of contact that they should be making is with the Farm Service Agency. And the Farm Service Agency. Okay. And the Farm Service Agency is that agency. It's our loan making agency. It provides for farmers and ranchers. So it has programs such as the micro loan program. It has the farm operating program, farm ownership program. And that micro loan program, especially for our small producers, it is a streamlined version of the farm operating program. So the application is not as long, but the funding is not as wide as that farm operating. And it can help those producers get started. And then I like to move them over to the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which has the conservation technical assistance. And let me say, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, as referred to it all the time, is NRCS. It is the agency that help producers help the land. So it's about saving the land for our future generations. And so it has programs such as the Conservation Technical Assistance Program that provide that technical assistance to assist farmers in, developing a conservation plan. Then we have the Environmental Quality Centers Program. And this is a program that's pretty special to me because I served as a program analyst for that program. But it provides both technical assistance and financial assistance to assist farmers in addressing those natural resource concerns, such as erosion. It addressed irrigation, just a host of practices that can assist farmers address those natural resource concerns, which lead to productivity, which leads to higher yields, which leads to more funding in your pocket. So I see everything from an economic position. But then I tell farmers to take a look at what rural development offers, because sometimes in our minority community, they're not always aware of how to use, and not just minority, the small community, small farmers, they're not always aware of what rural development sometimes offers for farmers and ranchers. It offers a Rural Energy of America program that help producers to address their energy efficiency needs. It has a value-added producers program. So for, I like to, direct those specialty crop producers to that VAPG, because you can take and really develop an entire market using that program, because it provides great, and it's a grant program. It provides grants to do feasibility studies, working capital. But then a lot of times our farmers miss out on opportunities provided through the Agriculture Marketing Service. And so there are programs there such as the National Organic Program. We have a farmers market program where farmers, can sell their products and they can work together, with their communities to start farmers market. So when you look at USDA, I like to, I look at it from a holistic position, and that's for farmers and ranchers and businesses also. So, and then on the other side of it, the contracting, which I am new in this arena, I've been there about two and a half years. And with contracts, this is where you really grow businesses, because we have opportunities, and this is where you sell to the government, when you sell to the federal government. And I think pretty much all federal governments offer contracting opportunities. The federal government is the largest buyer in the world. And if you build that business where you have that past performance, where you make yourself unique to an industry, to an agency, or to a department, you need to stand out. What do I do? And this is how I do it better. And this is how I can help you serve your needs. These contractual opportunities, procurement opportunities, can literally take a business to the next level. And USDA can help in all of that. And there are so many that's unaware of it. And I like to, partner with other federal departments and agencies, through this initiative that we are facilitating, that I mentioned earlier, Path Through Prosperity. It is an initiative that we are partnering with Internal Revenue Service. We have presentations with some of our non-federal partners, such as the Small Business Development Center, such as the Apex Accelerator, normally known as PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And so we're trying to work to bring a host of resources that really can change the lives of a business, which literally change the lives of communities, because it's offer jobs, and these types of opportunities create jobs. So exciting work.
Yeah, Jackie, this is why we wanted you on, because your holistic view of how to create an ecosystem, or how MBEs can see USDA as a partner, is so powerful. And thank you for highlighting these extraordinary programs. Are there any success stories that you have that you'd like to share with us to motivate our MBDA community as they think about plugging into this mindset shift to have a holistic view?
So I can think of a few through Path to Prosperity. I mean, and I will say, over the course of my career, there have been so many stories, and I forget because, about just outreach. People will come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you helped me do this," and I will, I have forgotten about it. But particularly we started through the path, and I'm bringing up Path to Prosperity because that's the most recent. These are the most recent events that we have been working on. And so one of the objectives of Path to Prosperity is really to help educate businesses on the importance of having a relationship with a financial institution, which I never even considered as an issue. But I was when SBA and the FDIC approached us, and I have learned so much from my partners on this initiative, because again, like you never consider that people don't have relationships with banks, and for businesses, a lot of these smaller and even some of our mid-size, they commingle their funds, so they don't separate out their businesses from their personal accounts. And so, I was talking to my partner, David Ramos from the FDIC, and he was a former banker. And so he was, and when we started the conversation, I said, why is this important? Because I've always had a checking account, and I had a savings account even when I was in high school, because my parents, even though they weren't college trained, they still function. My siblings and I, we literally wrote out the checks and paid my parents' bills. So
wow.
Really having that understanding of how a household works, because when I think about business, you run the business like you run the house, your household, because your household is a business to me. I always think of things from that position. So David said, Jackie, you will be amazed at how many businesses don't have relationships with a financial institution. And so, how Path to Prosperity, the genesis of Path to Prosperity, David and his supervisor, Cameron, it came as a result of the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Plan program that was offered through the SBA. And one of his businesses, and they were looking at the data, one of his businesses reached out to me because he could not connect with his banker during COVID, during the whole incident with COVID, and, accessing PPP. And so that took them to looking at the data, and noticed that a lot of these small businesses were missing out on the opportunity because a lot of them didn't have good records. They didn't have a relationship with financial institutions. And so that was a genesis that stemmed everything. So he reached out to SBA. And of course, most folks come to USDA because of our footprint. We're unique that we have that footprint. But I thought about it. And at the time, I was getting my home painted. This was after, we were back in business per se. We were always in business, but we were back active, with customers. And that painter, when I would write him a check, I don't care how small it was or how large it was, he would go to my bank and cash it. So I said, he is exactly right. A lot of these folks don't have relationships with financial institutions. And that's one of the major objectives of this initiative. So going forward, I was working with a business, and they attended Path to Prosperity. And the event in Mississippi, because we had an event in Mississippi, it is one of the areas where there's a lot of need. And from that event, that young lady, a young lady who owns her own farm, went and established a checking account specifically for her business.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's so heartwarming.
Yeah. She had been commingling, realized the importance of it. And she reached out to me and she said, I have just gone to the bank and started a checking account for my business when we were in Georgia. we've been working with, and I knew this producer, and he's trying to start a processing plant. And, processing was a huge issue, during COVID. A lot of our minority farmers, couldn't get their livestock to market. And so from that event, and not just so I like to say we connected him with some lenders that happened to be at the event, because one of the things that we're doing with this Path to Prosperity is that we're bringing in the resources. We're bringing in some of the financial institutions. And so now he's on the path. He's been, and we've connected him with rural development that has a business and industry loan program that's available for businesses. And so now, and then we connected him with the Small Business Development Center, which has assisted him in improving his business plan. Because one of the things for businesses, a business plan is very important, especially when you're trying to access capital, because most banks want to see, what's your plan for your business. And if you cannot show in that business plan, your 1 year goal, your 5 year goal, or I like to go out 10, 15 year goal, and how you plan to get there, even though it may not, it's not set in stone. You may have to modify it down the road, but you should know what your business is going to do. And so, and one that partner, Small Business Development Center, is that entity that can help our businesses do that. And a lot of them are totally unaware of them. Wow. I also have another business. It is a sheep industry. And I've actually done some blogs on these businesses. And she was one, we like to go to the field, with Path to Prosperity, because we like to see business at hand. We like to meet with the chambers. We may meet with nonprofits. We'll meet with institutions. But on this particular instance, we went to a agricultural livestock producer. They grew sheep in the middle of Georgia. And I'm walking that farm, and they talked about they're using equip to do this. They're they have irrigation. They have some of the high tech irrigation. And I'm sitting there. I say, you're a livestock producer, so I guarantee you have some energy needs. She's like, oh my God, yes we do. And this is a female producer. I said, well, you ever heard of the Energy for America program? And she hadn't. I connected her with our agency, and now she is applying for a REAP grant and loan to address her energy needs on that livestock farm. So, it warms the heart when you see your work really assisting others to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Do you have the link where we can read your blog?
Sure, I will provide it to you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I am I'm leaving this call really, really inspired, knowing that, first of all, you're so passionate about, seeing people of color and small businesses, MBEs, get off the ground and have a real impact in their own lives, because we know when these small businesses grow, they impact their communities, their homes, and ultimately the country. I really appreciate you making time. And to everyone listening, this is why we do this, because the insights that Jackie has shared need to be shared amongst our database. And if you are an MBE and you're a small business and you're still fighting, hopefully this conversation moved you to the next step. And we hope we will see you at the IAEOZ Summit 2023, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, October 17th to the 19th. You can go to IAEOZsummit.com. Jackie, we hope to see you. Hope to see you soon. And if you're ever in South Africa, we would be delighted to host you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.